I have said before that I think in terms of the shape of the culture war, that most of the problem is coming from China, not all of it. And I have also seen some criticism of like, MAGA thinks it's China, the left thinks it's Russia, and meanwhile it's the Jews. But the argument I've seen for that is like, yeah, look, all this anti-white stuff, it's clearly the Jews and not China. Yeah, I expect the anti-white stuff is mostly either like Israeli intelligence or a sect specific of Jews who have this perspective. Not the entire racial group or religion, but a section of them. But the economic sabotage, the like international, the meritocratic sabotage, and even probably some of the anti-white stuff because it benefits them, all the hints of socialism, all the geopolitical fuckery, I think that stuff's all China. So when people talk about the culture war and they say, okay, the parts of the culture war I care about is only this section, and you're stupid if you think China's involved, when the section they've pointed to is the bit that is probably being done by the sort of like Jewish groups, you've knocked over your own case there. Yeah, I have no doubt that there's large groups of Jews doing worse things than they should, but I also have no doubt that China is probably doing more damage at the moment than the Jews are. I think it matches it exactly, Ronald. Like, subversive, yes, but in many cases they don't care about being subversive anymore. But this is how they've gained power almost everywhere else, by cheating and being extremely immoral, by doing things, for example, like destroying the ecosphere just to deny it to the other guy. This is how China would operate, and of course it's a socialist country, and I don't think China will last much longer unless they can vampirize the US, and they have some misguided ambition to become the new world hegemon instead of the US. So I think it matches China pretty well, to be honest. But then also I've seen loads of things about like famous Jewish figures who have said very anti-white things, which match a lot of the things that is also happening in the. I think it's both of them are sort of working together to suck the life out of a currently quite anemic and non-vigilant and complacent US. The US vigilance decreased, its complacency increased, and that just got just above the threshold where now it's extremely beneficial for other nations to, instead of investing in their own long-term future and their own prosperity and their own people, to instead just suck the life out of the US. I think that's now China's strategy, and has been for many years. That's the problem with our world currently, which is why it's so important to support, for example, the MAGA movement, because it actually represents a distinct possibility that vigilance will go back up and the complacency will go back down. If you can do that, you get above just a certain threshold, then China can no longer support themselves. They can no longer exist in their current state. Revolution, replacement of government, maybe with something better. And maybe mass infrastructure collapse and a lot of death, which sucks, but it's the wages of around. And if the US is healthy again, then there's nothing really to stop Israel or those Jewish intellectuals from continuing to do that, but they'll have a lot less pull because there's a lot more good stuff going on. And because what they're going to be advocating for is exactly stuff we noticed and got rid of. Even if the MAGA movement does not come to the conclusion that on the large scale that Jews are a problem, that like some group of Jews or some division of Jews are a problem, even if it misses that, or it misses that Israel are not that great, that Mossad are deceptive and like messing with the West, even if they miss that completely, as long as they focus on positive things, meritocracy, good things that we agree on, then attempts to sabotage in their current form will not work because they are counter to that meritocracy.